When did 2 minutes change someone's life forever? I was convinced this woman at the school bus stop was obsessed with finding someone specific. Every morning when I walked my 9-year-old daughter Sophia to catch the bus, she'd be there by the stop sign asking every blonde girl their name with this desperate look in her eyes. The first real incident happened when Sophia was running late for the bus. The woman stepped right in front of us and bent down to Sophia's level with her hands clasped together like she was praying. Her voice shook as she asked her question, and I could see hope flickering in her tired eyes. Before Sophia could answer, I pulled her behind me and said we were in a hurry. As we boarded the bus, I heard her whisper something about Rebecca, and my stomach tightened with unease. 2 weeks later, I found her following us from the bus stop. She stayed about 20 feet back, but I could see her in every store window reflection. Her gray hair was always pulled back in the same messy bun, and she wore the same faded blue coat regardless of the weather. When we ducked into the library, she waited outside on the bench pretending to read a newspaper that she held upside down. My husband said I was being paranoid, but agreed to start driving Sophia to school. It didn't matter. The woman showed up at soccer practice that Saturday, standing behind the chain link fence with her fingers wrapped through the metal. I started keeping track of everything in a notebook. The way she'd appear at the grocery store scanning the cereal aisle for blonde children while pushing an empty cart. How she knew which dance studio Sophia attended even though we just switched to a new one across town. Once I caught her showing a worn photo to another mom at pickup. The mom told me later it was an old Polaroid of a toddler in a pink dress with a butterfly clip in her hair. The woman had apparently been showing that same photo around town for decades. The other parents had noticed too. They'd formed a group chat warning each other when she showed up at various locations. Some said she'd been doing this for 20 years without fail. Always the same routine of approaching blonde girls between the ages of 8 and 10. Always looking for someone named Rebecca. Nobody knew who Rebecca was, but everyone agreed the woman needed professional help or maybe just someone to listen to her story. The breaking point came 3 weeks later during the school book fair. I was volunteering at the cash register when she walked through the double doors. She moved with purpose straight to the second grade section where blonde girls were browsing through picture books and early chapter books. She knelt beside each one with that same desperate hope I'd seen so many times before. Their names were never right. Sarah made her shoulders drop. Emma caused her to close her eyes briefly. Madison brought a visible tremor to her hands. Then she saw Sophia reaching for a book on the top shelf. She rushed over so fast I couldn't intercept from behind the register. She grabbed Sophia's small hands in her weathered ones, and I saw tears already forming in her eyes before she even asked. My daughter looked scared and confused by the stranger's intensity. "What's your name?" she whispered. When Sophia answered, the woman's whole body seemed to collapse inward like someone had knocked the wind out of her. She sank to her knees right there between the Junie B. Jones and Magic Treehouse sections. "Not Rebecca. You're not my Rebecca." I pushed between them ready to call security, but then I saw what she was clutching against her chest. A missing child poster yellowed and soft with age from being folded and unfolded thousands of times. Rebecca Ann Morrison, age 3. Last seen at Garden City Mall. The date was exactly 20 years ago. The security guard arrived, but something made me wave him back. This woman wasn't dangerous. She was destroyed. She pulled out a small photo album from her purse with shaking hands. Page after page showed the same little blonde girl, building sandcastles with a red bucket, eating chocolate ice cream that had dripped down her chin, hugging a teddy bear that was bigger than she was. The last photo showed her in a pink dress with that butterfly clip the morning she disappeared. Other parents had gathered around us in a loose circle. The judgment in their faces was fading into something else entirely. Understanding maybe, or fear. We all had kids. We all knew that 2 minutes was all it took for a world to shatter completely. She explained how her husband had blamed himself because he'd been distracted by a work call, how he'd ended his life 5 years later unable to live with the guilt, how the police said trafficking rings operated out of that mall but leads went cold, how she knew in her bones that her daughter was still alive somewhere. A mother always knows. She packed up her photos with practiced movements and stood to leave. Before walking away, she turned back to look at all of us standing there with our children safe beside us. Maybe tomorrow I'll find my Rebecca.